For neutral facilitator, say I have a seller and a buyer. My buyer wants to put an offer on my seller property. He said, usually in this case, we have to state the conflict of interest, and then we give them the choice if they want to continue or we move them on to somebody else. So if they decide to still use me as an agent, do we still use the written service agreement form, or we just use that?
Okay, so if it's a customer, right, if they're not already your client, so let's say I have listed a property for sale, so seller is my client. Somebody who is not represented comes and wants to look at the property. So that person would be a customer. So in that case, I would use a customer acknowledgement form, and that's the form I would get them to sign. Now, that's not a conflict of interest. Now, conflict of interest would be, let's say I already had a buyer that I had signed a buyer representation agreement with. So in this scenario, buyer representation agreement is already signed, right? So I have a buyer representation agreement with the buyer. I have seller representation agreement with the seller that has been signed previously. So now when I list the seller's property, my buyer wants to write an offer on it. There's a contract called agreement to represent both buyer and seller. That's what we would sign after they give us permission. After we have done the written disclosure, they give us permission to move forward. Then we would get both of them to sign agreement to represent buyer and seller. So that's the form we will use.
Okay, thank you.